Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my normal partners in crime and a couple of special guests once again this evening. First off, we have Kenny Boucher.
Yo, Doug.
Stephen Ford.
Yo, keeping it icy as always.
No doubt. And the venerable Mike Haspel, of course.
Eternal, shiny, and chrome.
And we have a special guest tonight, JP. You might know him as the 40k Scribe on YouTube.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yo, so
Yeah,
there's so much going on. We got so much to talk about in this episode. But first off, wanted to say a big thank you to everybody out there that pledged the Kickstarter. You know, hope it's over, of course. Hopefully by now everybody has filled out the awesome survey we sent out. If you haven't done so, you know, shoot us an email and we'll get you the link so you can take care of that and claim your swag, because you got till the 18th to make all your changes, make all your t-shirt sizes, select you know, which juice sticker you want, how icy you want to keep it, and all that.
Make all your hobby dreams come true between now and the 18th. Yo, we are so happy. I feel like Kenny and I should start just beatboxing. Thank you. Shout out. You know, I do just want to address some people that I haven't addressed in a while, and everybody knows it as trolls. Trolls out there, if you think it's easy to do what we do on a daily basis, just try.
Classic.
Just try. It's not. Right?
I sleep 5 to 6 hours a day.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time and effort behind the scenes. These guys are amazing with what they do. So a lot of time and effort was put into it, and you guys made it all worthwhile. Thank you.
Is that the slow golf clap for the trolls by Juice?
Yes, absolutely.
Juice
To be honest, it wasn't even. It was just a golf pinky clap. Like, don't even address you as real people.
A golf nod and tilt of the hat.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I like that.
Well, again, thank you so much, guys. It was a really awesome time, and obviously we're going to start to ship out the early bird stuff at some point during this month, probably not leading up to Christmas, probably right after Christmas, but it will be December nonetheless. So make sure you fill out your survey so we know what you want and what you really, really want, and we'll give you what you want, what you really, really want. Yes, I did work the Spice Girls into the podcast.
Awesome. Fucking awesome.
You are Smarty Spice.
I'm like, wait,
Cat Spice.
Cat, definitely.
Yep.
Cat Spice. More Cat Spice
Cat
than anything.
Daddy Spice.
Oh,
First
man.
off, we just know that if you were a Spice Girl and you were Cat Spice, you would not be referred to as Cat, but as Pussy Spice.
Yeah.
Well,
First off, I realized that just as you were saying that.
I mean, and I'm okay with that. Anyhow, let's take a quick minute, hear from some of our sponsors, and jump right into it.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
So in Tabletop Market Watch, obviously there isn't a whole lot of 40k action happening, but there is some pretty dope looking Chaos models that are on the horizon, if not already out. And I know Mike's seen some of these because he works up at the Haven, and JP's probably been it's just scoping them on the internets as well. But you got Archeon, you got the new Crazy Big Knights, and then you got that really dope looking Sorcerer that's coming out for Tzeentch this week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the Everchosen are really, really boss. Like, just Death Knights, just awesome, fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's like Blood Crushers, but as knights. It's like crazy. Yeah. These things are so dope looking.
Yo, they remind me, they bring it back of like, can you remember the times of the Blood Crusher spam whenever it came out?
That was my shit. Like, I got on the map for demons because I played an all-corn army with Blood Crushers right in 5th edition. It was the truth. I loved the models. I magnetized them up. I was so happy with them. Had my Bloodthirster, literally the flag. I'm getting Vietnam like flashbacks and just like getting back into it.
Absolutely. What if the Blood Crushers back in the day looked like this, and its Skull Taker was like beast mode? Like, I'm trying to figure out how Skull Taker still is riding that like an English horse riding champion.
That's how I always modeled my Skull Taker riding side saddle, like.
There you go.
He doesn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta avoid that enemy fire. You gotta get low.
Yeah, so I mean, he's coming in mad hot like a jockey, but like is full on jackrabbit when it comes to close combat. So yeah, when I saw these things, I was like, this is absolutely amazing. I wish when the Blood Crusher span was in, I had these models and nobody else did.
Oh my god, I bought down in Colorado the old Complete Games of Hobbies. Remember that place, Hasbel?
Yep, I do.
They went out of business, unfortunately, just because, obviously it's hard to be a store owner these days. But I went in there with their going out of business sale and bought all what they had left, like everything on the shelf. And all they had left was Corn Demon stuff because nobody cared about that shit. So I was like, you know what? I'm starting a Corn Demon army. This is happening. And I did. Never turned back. That was my first demon army because I was always Chaos Space Marines. But that's kind of what brought me to the world of demons. And obviously I've never turned back.
When Kenny says he bought everything in there, he's not lying. Like, he bought their paint display.
And the paints in it.
The rack.
Like, for real.
I was like, yo, I want all the paints and all the boxes. And they were like, okay. I was like, I also want the paint rack. How much?
Damn, you still have that thing?
I had it all the way up until I want to say 7 months ago. I threw it away finally. I had it for 5 years.
Dang.
Yeah.
I stopped using GW paints in my business so much. I use GW Tentacles and a lot of GW Wash. But I use so much Vallejo and Privateer Press now that the paint rack is literally just taking up space.
Yo, speaking of corn, those Blood Crushers have had like 3 iterations of models already. Because remember, they had the pewter one.
Oh, yeah.
Then they had the plastic ones. And then they even have a fantasy version of it. I forget what they're called. But they have basically Knights of Corn on top of them. And now we're getting the Night Knights, which I guess really aren't the same. But they're still like, girth-wise, just as big.
I love that word, girth.
I know what you're thinking.
No, you don't.
It's gross.
You do, actually, now that I think about
it. But, it's pretty dope.
It's crazy, man. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just sitting here, like, reminiscing on the days of, like, fury that I had deep inside when I would see somebody play this list. And at this point in time, I'm playing my Blood Angels with Ball Predators and my Vindicators and obviously my big fatty unit of Terminators with Corbolo. Like, man, and we would have these epic showdowns in the middle of the table with these Blood Crusher units and how amazing they were. And all I think to myself is like, man, it would have been not epic at all if they were Toughness 4 like they are now.
Or AP3 like they are now. Like, that's the problem is that they traded cavalry movement for 3+ armor, Toughness 5, and AP ignore armor saves. It's like it seems good on paper that they're cavalry now, but it's like, man, you need they can't deal with threats. They used to just be used to be able to just deep strike them in. They only move 6 inches, but they were hard. They were hard to deal with. And the second the second they changed them, I was like, okay, they're cheaper. They're good to summon in a pinch if you need to like crush these these 6 Space Marines out in the corner, But man, I have literally not used them barely at all with the new rules.
I feel like GW does like some weird math, like the Queen's math. Let's call it the Queen's math, because remember when and this is one of the first times I met Haspel out at the Vegas GT in like 07 or something. They were like, Phil Kelly was there, and we're like, yo, what's up with the Falcon, the Eldar Falcon? You can never kill the thing. He's like, oh, no, you just have like a 1 in 36 chance or a 1 in 8 chance. I was like, did you do the math on that? It's more like 1 in 81, 1 in 100.
It's literally like 100 ballistic skill for last cannons. Blow it up.
Yeah, and guess who has that many last cannons in their army? No one. Oh, so yeah, sometimes I wonder.
Sometimes they put the wrong points on things, like as is our ever expanding a dreadnought needing toughness argument, because they seem to believe that armor in hull points is valued more than high toughness and armor save.
I don't want to take us down because Kenny just alluded to one of the major tangents that we can go off on when it comes to the dreadnought. But like, I think to myself, like, do you think that they have like a line in the sand that they're like, look, we'll take back a lot of shit. We will even maybe once in a while admit that we're wrong, but we will never, under any circumstances, take the armor value away from a dreadnought.
And
just off principle.
Yeah, they won't. Not on principle.
Is that like? I mean, are they just that stubborn? They're like in a relationship, and you're like, I will give on everything else, but I swear to God, I don't care how many arguments this happens, I will never give on this. And I feel like it is the dreadnought with an armor value.
Yep. They're never gonna make the dreadnought under 100 points, and they're never gonna make the dreadnought have a toughness 7 or toughness 8.
No, furthermore, they are gonna come out with new models that have toughness values like Dread Knights. It sounds like a Dreadnought.
Or the Wraith Lord has been there since the dawn of time, and it is let me put it this way: like Dreadnoughts suck, and a Wraith Knight, no one even takes a Wraith Lord. No one even takes Wraith Lords. It's like, come on, man, you have to do more than make it toughness 8 with 3+ armor save to even make it good at its points. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, the same premise. A Carnifex, like a second a Carnifex move to like 165 points, nobody and their mother takes them.
Yep.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Yep, completely over. But something they did give us was that new Zinc Sorcerer, which I thought was pretty cool looking, because he's basically floating on a disc, but then he's also floating off of the disc itself. So he's like, yo, dog, I heard you like to float, so I'm going to give you a floaty with your floaty. And he's got like those crazy like Pan's Labyrinth. You remember that dude that had the eyes in his hands because his eyes were like sewn shut? Well, he doesn't have them in his hands, but his eyes are like similar. I feel like they were inspired by it. I'm gonna call it right there.
Thank you, Rob, for bringing up nightmares from my childhood. Yes, I remember that motherfucker. He was gross.
He moved really slow.
Yep, it was terrifying.
It's the food boogeyman right there. No, I'm digging the new stuff, but you know what I'm kind of digging a little bit more is that Team Yankee.
Yeah, so some interesting developments. Yesterday, I was able to get my hands on the rule book for Team Yankee. And to remind folks, what Team Yankee is Battlefront makes that game Flames of War, which is a 15mm World War II game. And Team Yankee is an updated version of that. Takes place in 1985, and it is NATO against the Warsaw Pact. Or specifically, the first bunch that's coming out is U.S. against Soviets. But they're obviously going to branch out and bring more units into it. East Germans, Brits, all kinds of stuff like that. So it'll be pretty epic. It's based on a novel that came out in the mid '80s called Team Yankee, and give it a read. It's right up there with like Red Storm Rising and stuff like that. So if you like your techno thriller / armored company fiction story, obviously, because World War III didn't really happen yet, but we're working on it.
So did you get these models in your hands?
I did not get the models in my hands, and I'm gonna caveat some of the stuff here is because apparently there was some kind of a problem. Battlefront had an issue with the tooling on the T-72 tank. They did not like the way it came out. So rather than release an inferior product and then re-release, a fix for it or something like that, they delayed the product. So initially we thought that the entire thing was going to be delayed, but it turns out it's just like the Soviet box set is going to be delayed. And to make amends for people, anybody who pre-ordered one of the boxes gets an extra tank, whether you're U.S. or Soviet. They included an extra tank in there.
Hasper, you brought that up before of kind of like this might happen or anything else. Like, congratulations to that company, like to show the backing and the respect that it has for, the patrons that play the game. Like that is a big kudos to them.
That's more than a golf club.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, yeah, what they did is they just showed like they're just bandits, like they're down to support their game. They're not going to give up on them. So if you are into that game, it's one of the reasons why I don't like getting into other stuff. You've heard me talk about I like Dust. I like Anachronism, other games, and literally what happens, 5 months later, 6 months later, the backing is completely gone and the game is diminished, So, and it's tough to buy into a game, especially a miniatures game, to get behind it. But I feel like with that play, it just shows where the company really is.
Yeah. We were able to get a hold of the rule book. So Rob at Gamers Haven, he had brought out some of his old some tanks and stuff from the Arab-Israeli wars. I think it is what he had. Some stuff from 67 war. I think he had some tanks and stuff, and they were going to run through it. But I got to look through the rule book, and the rule book, I got to say, is a fantastic value. It's like it retails for, I think, $30, maybe a little bit less than that. But it reminds me, and one of the reasons I adore this is I have not played Flames of War that much, but anybody who plays Warhammer 40k is going to be able to pick up this game in probably 5 minutes. When you pick up the book, oh yeah, for real. When you pick up the book, it screams like it has the same layout as 4th edition Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, that's one of the original allures. That I remember back in the day when you guys were all playing Flames of War up in Gamers Haven. I remember you were like, "This is 4th edition, dog. This is like literally all the best parts of 4th edition, where they had the abstract terrain rules. Like 4th edition was a true like tournament, like competitive style rule set where like things were just taken out of our hands, much easier to understand, and so you can really just play the game to the maximum potential. And I was always so captivated by it, but just never could get into like what Juice was saying. I couldn't get into a new miniatures game because I just, I wasn't ready for that commitment yet. You're telling me that I should have.
Well, you should get into Team Yankee. That's what I'm saying. When I looked at the book, it's broken up in movement, shooting, assault, you know what I mean? Special rules. And then it goes into like a hobby section, and then it has the army builds for the US and for the Soviets right in there. You look at it, there's force org charts telling you how to build a tank division, how to do everything we're already used to. Like I didn't have to read the rule book. I could just look and go, oh, here's your force org chart. Oh, here's this detachment. Here's this formation. It's all in there. It's exactly the same. Everything you need is in that first rule book. Now, obviously, they're going to come out with expansions and more army books as they release new armies and stuff.
You got to get paid.
Yeah, obviously, but and it's a little bit different as far as the way it plays with like the stats. And I don't have a concrete example, but essentially the units themselves have what you need to hit them. So it's in a little bit, it's kind of like Age of Sigmar in a little way like that, because you're saying, okay, I'm playing an M1 tank. That means you need a 3-up to hit me, and then there are different modifiers, like if I have a laser rangefinder, then that takes away a +1 penalty for being more than 16 inches away. Or if I'm on the move, normally somebody would have to take a penalty for trying to fire on the move. But if you've moved less than 14 inches, but you have some kind of stabilization device like the T-72 or the M1 have, then you don't take that penalty. And then when you fire your gun, it'll have a value of, say, 22 or something like that. The front stat of an M1, if I remember correctly, was 18. So 22 would kind of pen 18, but you get to roll a D6 to see what happens. So he has to roll to like hit you, and then it's a little bit more complex than just a straight up armor save, because it's like, okay, he's got a 22 value hitting an 18 value. I get to roll a D6. So there's a decent chance that he is not going to penetrate me. But on the side armor of the M1, the armor value is like an 8. So he would auto pen you. So there's going to be a lot of maneuver going on. There's going to be a lot of just, a lot more tactics, a lot more strategy going on. I was very impressed with it. I'm definitely picking it up.
I've got a super important question. Is this game pre-measure, or do you have, you pull out your tape measure when you need it?
I'm going to say yes. I don't know that for a fact because I don't remember reading that.
Okay.
But I'm going to say yes, because the idea is that everything is very modern. In fact, it blew me away. Some of the ranges on these guns were like 30 inches. And I'm like, this is a 15 mil game and you're shooting 30 inches. I was like, whoa, that's far. You know what I mean? That kind of changes the scale of some of the things.
Yeah, and the only reason why I bring it up, not to downplay one the game other, but I miss the days of 40K when you had to see if that was a 6-inch charge or not. When you had to be like,
you had to gamble.
I'll do something. I loved knowing that my skill of knowing if I'm in rapid fire range, if I am this and this, guessing the range of my barrage weapons, this and this, like I miss that, and I really truly crave a game that follows that suit a little bit. So it's definitely something I'm intrigued about to see one way or the other what it is.
I'm going to probably say no. And that it's not a guessing game because you have things like laser rangefinders in the game, and you have one of the things that I thought was that you can have pre-planned artillery. So if the enemy is coming in on crossroads that that their tanks have to cross this crossroads, you can call in artillery on them. And it's devastating, obviously. And artillery can drop minefields. I mean, it's modern warfare, from 1985. So it looked like it was pretty accurately modeled. It had transport helicopters and stuff in there. Mostly right now, that's just Soviet because they have the Hinds. The U.S. only has like Super Cobras, I think it was. They don't have the Blackhawks yet, but I'm sure they'll release that, coming up.
I'm so happy to hear that.
It definitely looks pretty dope. I was looking at the poster, the cell poster at Hit Point Hobbies over the weekend, where we actually went for the War for Tots charity tournament event down in Juice's hometown.
Yeah, and I would, as we started the show, thanking everybody with the Kickstarter, man, I would also like to, at this point in time, thank everybody who was involved, who had a hand in making that day possible, to everybody who donated. We had another very successful Toys for Tots event. This year we didn't raise as much, but we were still right in that realm of getting a group of guys together and raising $1,200. It's actually $1,275 if I'm not mistaken. Was absolutely amazing.
Yes, and giving cash goes so far, this time of year to the kids. It's always fun to be a part of it. And here's some of the things that blew my mind, Juice. There was like 40 people there.
Yo, for real. So I would like to apologize for everybody. The day got started a little late, but it was because we had such a huge amount of players that showed up, plus people that weren't on the registry and everything else. To have a local small event, at a RTT level event, and it's 36 players. That is great for these days.
Seriously, humongous for a Rogue Trader tournament. That's like I said, some of the startup GTs, indie GTs out here only get that many people. It's
and you look around that room. So we were, and now I pride John McCaskill, the owner of Hit Point Hobbies. He is a guru when it comes to, he is the hobbyist gamer. You go there and you have a
hobby
million
gangster.
Yeah, like you've got all the terrain, like literally shelves and shelves and billions amounts of everything. Like he's that guy who puts the money back into the store, and let me tell you, we put his name to the test on having tabletops, having extra tables, having extra terrain. It was unbelievable. So with having the 36 players, what we ended up doing, we did get everybody tabled up. It got to the point, I looked around the room, and there was only like 6 of us local guys. So I looked at John, I was like, yo, you can't turn people away. Like, these people have driven hours. I mean, there was a big shout out to Jay Cox and Austin A-Dog that came down from Virginia. We had Clay Cruz from the mountains.
Yo, Charlie came from Georgia.
Yo, absolutely. Great call. We've got Brian Delgado and the crew coming from Fayetteville. Durham was represented huge with Salahuddin and Horton. I mean, it was just unbelievable. The
guys from Event Horizon too came down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Raleigh, Durham. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, Richard and the crews. Like, I mean, it was unbelievable. What a just great weekend. Also, it led us to basically have a quasi new format that we're going to break down and record it for you guys, as we alluded to kind of before, that Mystery Science Theater 3000, that Madden NFL style breakdown of a game. And just spoiler alert, amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
I was actually,
it was so.
We talked about in the webcast, and I'm just like so close to things that I edit that sometimes I take for granted how exciting things are as I'm trying to make these things. And so I was like, all right, guys, I edited this thing down, and what we did here is we had our overhead, obviously just 2.5 hours, 3 hours of overhead to go through. We're using, we're doing B-roll inserts with the iPhone 6, and so I put this thing together. I was like, okay, I did the best I could, guys. Try to make it exciting. Let's do the voiceover and let's call this thing. And like, I mean, Juice was like, are you kidding me? This is amazing. I was like, you really think so, man? Like,
it was. It was unbelievable. Like I am so pumped for everybody else. Like it is 26 or 25 minutes of pure, intense, nonstop. I mean, it is, the epitome of in the mind of a tournament player.
That's going to be the segment.
You get to see like the split second decisions, because when we talk about split seconds, like obviously you have 2.5 hours or 3 hours for an event or a round, but that goes quick, very quick when you're having to counter what somebody else is doing, this and this. We can talk all the time about, hey, I just played in this game. What should I do under this circumstance? What should I do this? But you're never in a exact situation where you can know what your opponent's going to be doing the whole time. So we get to see exactly Kenny's moves, what he's talked about, the style of list. It's a different as well. One thing that I comment on while we were doing the voiceover, I'm like, Kenny, we talk about your list and people look at it and they go and they check it out, and we take for granted how fast you say these guys really are until you see it on the table and his entire army is just flooded up right on somebody. What it can do in counters and stuff, and quick Q&A is absolutely the best 26 minutes you can watch.
That was actually, that makes me really happy, because like you're right, I do talk about it a lot. Like everyone is as intimate with my chaos style, and how I'm like, I bring hobby back with my chaos, and I'm like, I still believe in chaos. And then I guess having like someone as good at 40k as Juice watch it and be like, man, I just didn't realize it was like this. And so for me personally, this was a fun experience, and I feel really confident that people are going to really enjoy these games. And in this interesting, this is a format that now we know we can bring this to tournaments without disrupting the rate of play, and actually get these games done, and not hurt anybody else's, like getting their clock management skills. Like we're going to be able to take this show to the road and get inside the head of a tournament player more often.
Yo, Robbie B is being the guru of all that it is electronics and knowledge of knowing everything. Has anybody else done anything like what we're about to preview to the veterans?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I haven't seen much like it. I mean, we used to do like the Battlecast where we would just do them live, and then it would be there would be me and someone else like commenting, doing the Madden thing.
Absolutely. It's a little, I would have to admit, sometimes drawn out, potentially, not a negative connotation.
But this is intense.
3 hours is hard to watch.
Yeah, concentrated, like awesome 40k, getting inside the head of Kenny Boucher, like and
also let's also bring up another thing. Like, it's not any live buster streaming that you're like glitching out every 45 seconds, with a massive lag that the voice doesn't match anything else. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, it was really, really eye opening to me, and I feel very confident in the tournament scene that, like, man, I actually am learning.
Right. You're going to see stuff in this that you wouldn't see in a normal, like if you just streamed it. This is condensed power. This is something it's a really good polished product. It's the type of thing that, you're basically getting a game in a digestible form, but you're getting all the highlights. So it's like watching the NFL Red Zone.
Yeah.
And just seeing every touchdown. like the
nitty gritty too, because that's what we're saying is like 2.5 hours, 3 hours of a game. There's a lot of things you just don't need to see. You know what I mean? Like, but so that's where the posts comes in. Like we cut some of those things out. We time lapse the movement phases. We slow down some of the other things so that we can really just focus on these things. And obviously, we got the God view, the overhead. So which is something we don't really use in the battle reports. We use more of a cinematic camera work to tell the story in a different way. So obviously, we don't want to oversell it, but damn, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that right there. We don't want to go too much into it also. But last thing I will end before we move on is another thing that I'm super excited about is that you'll obviously get to see a list that Kenny is passionate about. You're obviously in the future get to see a list that I'm passionate about for 3 games. But guess one thing, a treat that you guys are going to get is you're going to get to see against 3 lists that are tournament quality lists, that something we might not even talk about on the show or even think about, because that is the gem of going to an event, is being like, man, I didn't even see that combo. As again, i.e., spoiler alert, Charlie, you're going to see his version of Eldar that has models that you're like, nobody plays with those. Are you messing with me right now?
Yeah,
you know,
what is
like,
that? What is that thing? I don't know what that is. You know?
Like, so that is the thrill of going to an event. And when you get paired up against your opponent, you're like, okay, cool, you've got guards, you've got Space Marines, but I want to see your version of X style list.
No doubt, and that's a good pausing point right there. So we can hit our first commercial break. Come back with a quick webcast recap on the flip side.
Veterans, have you been by thelongwar.net lately? New spoils are piling up. Sign up at thelongwar.net and claim your code to unlock valuable discounts at your favorite wargaming stores. Our friends at kingshobbiesandgames.com have added to that horde. An additional 5% off their already low prices. Sign up for free. thelongwar.net. Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. Mike Aspa, what you got for us?
Yeah, for the webcast recap, we've got Spencer Cohen said that he was like so glad he has his Champions of Fenris model has fallen with Cyborg minis and Age of Sigmar minis, keeping it fluffy. So I'm just kind of curious how he's using AOS guys to do Champions of Fenris. That sounds exciting, honestly.
Sounds like some sculpty work.
It
does. It sounds like some work.
They got some interesting add-ons over there at Skyboard. Like they got some beefy shoulder pads. They got some beefy space, or what do they call them? Celtic Warriors.
Oh yeah, the Celtic Warriors.
Yeah,
Those guys are dope.
They got some stuff over there. Skyboard Miniatures has got some sweet add-ons.
Oh, you know what else? And I know David, your brother, used some of this stuff, but that MicroArc Studios, you can buy like the pre-made mold of like fur, and then you fold the green stuff into it, and it's got short fur and long fur.
I have used 1 billion inches of that to make certain things. Like I think David used some of that for that Chaos Themed Night Titan that he made. That we have a tutorial on over at the Hall of Veterans.
Yep, nice. That stuff's fresh too. Don't forget that.
Next up, we have I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Gabriel Blut, who's asking Kenny, how would you paint Thousand Suns for 30K? So pre-Heresy era, Thousand Suns.
So what's their colors? I think there's some red in there.
Yeah, they have. It depends. They have like basically in the source material, they've got blood red armor and some shining gold trim, or and this is the one I particularly favor. They are dark red armor with bone and ivory trim, which sounds an awful lot like Blood Ravens.
Going back to your theory of making your Bloody Raven army to be anything.
To be Thousand Sons descendants, yeah. So basically you're dealing with a lot of red. Like they're solid red.
The good news is that I do have a couple tutorials on some simple techniques to painting red. We got a Mephiston 5 simple tricks to painting red. We also have a quick one where I paint some Blood Angel Scouts. And also you can see the same red formula in that Chaos Themed Night Titan that I do that's Khorne. I would utilize those tutorials that we have available to you on either my YouTube channel or the Hall of Veterans locked in the vault there. We have so many easy ways to do it. And like I have broken down the simplest ways to do it there. And you can apply whatever color you want to these. You can say, if I want darker red, go down 2 shades on the red that I show in the video, or go up 1. I always kind of go with a brighter one, but literally instead of going to, the brightest red that GW has, just don't use that red and do your crimson, or use the red and the blood red. It's that simple. Like luckily red is one of the pain in the dick colors to get good at. And don't worry, I've done all the R&D on it. Here at the Long War, we do have your back, and the videos do exist.
Yeah. And wrapping it up, we've got Jack Bandy, and we talked a little bit about this on the webcast, but I felt we needed to revisit it. So he's like, on the topic of bringing the hobby back, do you think that night lists are breaking the hobby? And what about like 4 or more Wraith Knight lists?
Yo, so like it's kind of like I kind of jumped in on the webcast a little bit because I thought it was funny. I just get a chuckle of it, like 2013 or 12, I forget exactly, but everybody was losing their shit about Flyers. So like, oh, Flyers, so OP, stupid, breaks the game, stupid mechanic, I don't like them. And then and then all of a sudden the Knights come out 2014, like that March or whatever, and people are like, oh my God, Knights, stomps, it's overpowered, can't have it, stupid. And then now, we've got people are using the Knights to fight like the new boogeyman, like the Wraith Knights, and also like the supremacy armors and things like that. It's just like it's crazy how it keeps like escalating up from the things that people are like, oh, that's OP, that's stupid, that's broken. But then eventually those are the tools we use to fight the other OP and broken stuff. And obviously Games Workshop's like, hey, all is according to plan. We're selling new big models. Yes.
Got you good fuckers. I think I beat Juice to the punch there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, but I will say I'm just now, I wasn't able to make it tonight to the webcast. I was too busy chefing it up, but like, hearing this, yes, I'm gonna take this stance of like, yes, the hell with 4 Wraith Knights. That does not belong in the game. I don't believe 4 Wraith Knights need to be anywhere near a game of 40k. I don't have necessarily an issue with 4 Night Titans. You want to know why? Because what did we just allude to earlier? Armor value is not the same as toughness value. It ain't.
It's much easier to deal with.
In the same realm. Yeah, like. Is there specific weapons that can, go after and put down a Wraith Knight any easier? I mean, you can tell me grab all you want, but unless that grab has 4 other special abilities.
They get an armor save and a funeral pain save.
And a cover save, bro.
Fundamentally more difficult to deal with. And for some reason, they don't value toughness at the same place. So a Wraith Knight is 80 points cheaper than some of the Night Titans. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even get behind like anybody's train of thought that says a Night Titan and a Wraith Knight or something like, oh, we just need to do all this. Like, no, I fully agree that there's tournaments that will allow multiple Night Titans but only one Wraith Knight. I see no issues with it, and I commend that, So, I mean, and that's just coming from knowing what the actual true danger of 4 Wraith Knights is and the Phil Badsies that we talk about. Like, ultimately, you're not going to get a Phil Badsie from 3 or 4 Wraith Knights, maybe. If it is, then if you go to a tournament
or
and
Titans.
you can't deal with it, Titans, and you can't deal with that, like, there is multiple redundancies that you can put in a list, multiple squads, that can help you interact with. It's not that hard.
So you can see that we're actually all over the place here. Like even what Juice just said was, like you can tell that there's he's okay with some of it, not okay with others, and that's kind of like a really good lead into like bringing hobby back means, and that means bringing hobby scores back to Warhammer 40k.
Yes.
Here at the doubles tournament we're going to be doing in Adepticon next year. Composition scores are, we believe in player police composition scores, not ban list. So we're not going to tell someone they can't play with Wraith Knights or 4 Wraith Knights or 5 Wraith Knights, whatever. We're building a tournament system that is going to allow your opponent to feel like they have a final weapon against you. You bring your 4 Wraith Knights, and this is something Mike Castle said earlier. It's like, it's a foregone conclusion. Like, you're going to win the game. Like, against 80% of the list, like, I win. So you are definitely not two-tier. You're not being a good sport, first off, because a good sport is exactly as committed in his opponent's fun and his opponent's victory as his own. And secondly, like, our composition score is going to be player police. It's going to be simple. Like, is this a thematic list? Is this list have some thematic elements? Or is this list purely designed to win? That's where we feel we don't want to tell people that they can't play with 4 Wraith Knights. You can go play 4 Wraith Knights all you want, win all of your games. And if somehow you miraculously convinced your opponents that, they shouldn't zero you on common sport, then you are the greatest 40k player of all time.
Yeah, basically, this past weekend we had Horton sat us down and we were eating lunch at our favorite Mexican restaurant. Like, shout out El Vaquero, best ever. But he's like, look, I got a question, man. Like, let's say I still decide to bring those 4 Wraith Knights or whatever the cheesy list is. I can stomp all my games, do really good in my painting score, and I'm still going to win the event, right? Wrong. Because guess what? Your composition score, your hobby score is just as important as everything else.
66% of half of your score, you're going to get zeroed on.
Yeah, so let's put this in perspective for anybody who's doubting what we're trying to say. Let's say I'm playing, right? And now I played against JP, Robbie B, and Haspel, right? Those are my 3 opponents. JP has the freshest list, looks amazing, super cool, chill guy, great game. Robbie B, great looking army, had a great game, super kind of like he stomped me, but you want to know what? It was a great game, loved it, had no ill will towards him. Haspel came in with some super clutch painting. I loved his conversions. Everything else was the same. Guess what I have to do now at the end of the event? I'm like, I have to rate my opponents 1, 2, and 3. I can only give out 1, 1, and I can only give out 1, 3. So I say, my number 1's got to be like, yo, Haspel, obviously best looking models, everything else, a great game, no ill will, and it was a slugfest all the way through. Yo, it was tough, but like JP was just as good, and I had a great game in the score. Even though I loved Robbie B, I thought his models were good and everything else, I can't say anything bad except his list didn't let me interact with mine.
He was being he was being a poor sport at the army development stage.
Yeah, he did not think about me when he did that. I, in my train of thought, didn't maliciously point out Robbie B. He had 75% of the other qualities that the other 2 gentlemen had. But guess what? His list ultimately was the deciding factor, which let me put in, did I get a chance to have the full hobby aspect of my 2.5 hours? The other 2 gentlemen did. Robbie B let me know.
Which brings us up to a huge point. Sportsmanship has gotten really confused with political gamemanship. In the past, it's really easy to think that someone's a good sport because they get good sportsmanship scores. Not every event's the same, but I know personal experiences that I used to always do really good with sportsmanship, and then I realized using the system that I wasn't a good sport, because just because I can smile and be charismatic and give out handies and hugs like we do, doesn't mean shit when you have to weight me against other people and I stomp them with my abusive list. So there's a difference. I was a good politician. I wasn't a good sport until I started using this score system. And then I became a good sport when I was able to take a look in the mirror and be like, man, you really need to start thinking about these people, from the moment you start, getting in your Beats laboratory and make your list.
That's a really good point, actually. I'm just thinking back to my buddy Alex, who kind of got me into the whole hobby back when I was like 14 years old. And that guy, it's crazy because he will beat you down into the ground, but he does it with such charm and charisma that you're like, man, this guy's awesome. Like, I don't care like if I win or lose against him, because he just gives you such a great time. I mean, he doesn't mind losing either. That's kind of part of it. I think that's where his spirit comes from, is he doesn't mind losing. But yeah, no, I've definitely played against some people.
He could potentially do poorly at our event if his lists were over the top, and that's why he won. Because it doesn't matter how charming you are, if you're the only guy who tabled somebody who I got tabled by this weekend, because he was playing the hard shit. And that's something that's, like I said, that's where you have to, people who are naturally charming, naturally charismatic, have a problem with realizing there's a difference between being charming and being a good sport. And that's what we're trying to do here by bringing hobby scores back. And so to Horton's point, if let's say JP went to our event with his amazing models, his amazing thematic army, his Ultramarines, and let's say he won a game, tied a game, and lost a game, but he literally got maxed out everywhere else, he would shit on the score of the 4 Wraith Knight guy who won all 3 of his games. Because he would have gotten like a max win, a loss, and maybe a minor loss, or maybe a tie. Like he literally would have gotten 100% of half the score, and more than the necessary points in the battle scores. Like very easily, like at least the same. Like I mean,
yeah.
And obviously our system's not perfect. We've never used our system yet, and we'll find out. And it'll take us over a year before we can change together with the Hall of Veterans and bringing hobby back.
Yeah, and last thing, because I cannot wait for our next segment when we basically break down, I feel like a JPP, but one thing I'd like to say is like, it's going to take a full year or more even to like train hobbyists, train 40K players to switch that mode for a second and be like, is is it really going to be okay if I show up with a subpar list? Is that, you know what I mean? Like, you think about it, you're going to Adepticon. You're traveling to play in a Knowles Hole Bard singles event where it's like, I've got to bring the cheesiest of this to get it to the next round, the top 16 and this and this. And it's like, we're preaching the opposite. We're like, yo, bring hobby back. So it's like, I think it's going to take time for actually people to come up, test their foot in the waters a little bit, you know, and to realize like, oh, I can play a Wraith Lord now, you know, like I can play Eldar without being,
play. It goes back to one of Juice's original hobby pipe dreams. My dream, this is me quoting Juice, is to live in a world where I can play with 9 Ravengers and still do well.
15
Raveners and still do well.
I want all the snakes, you know, like
I want them all.
I want my toughness 4 3-wound model to be cool again.
With no armor save whatsoever. You want to be able to play. Yeah. That's the hobby pipe dream that we all have, is that we want to be able to play some of these cooler units. I want to be able to play a goddamn Chaos Dreadnought and not feel stupid for it.
Yep.
And I guess that's a good explanation point.
Mm-hmm. Yo, and I think that's a great point to be able to move on. Like, I can't wait to get into JP's mind.
JP. JP, welcome to the show.
What's up?
For everyone listening who doesn't know, if you're not in the Hall of Veterans right now, you haven't gone along with Annette, you may have no idea who JP is, or you may, because you may be one of his multi-thousands of followers on his YouTube channel, the 40k Scribe. He does tactic videos. He does battle reports. He does a lot of great videos, and I love his charm and his charisma. And I'm so happy that, partner up with him and have him provide the Hall of Veterans with some exclusive content. And we're currently working on a segment, Space Marines kind of must-take codex review. That's going to be kind of a evolving segment that we're going to start jumping at other codexes, but we're going to do in-depth weekly or bi-weekly videos that are going to be exclusive, early access, and Hall of Veterans. And of course, you'll be able to go to JP's channel, subscribe, and see his stuff for free anytime you want. But you will be able to see it with us earlier. And obviously, you can try us out for free. End of sales pitch. Beginning of something really important. I'll let Juice say his thing before I do this Q&A with JP.
Thank you. Yeah, before the serious questions start flying, man, like JP, for my reference and everybody else, like, we have a lot of super fans that love to get to know each and every one of us. You know, they kind of know what armies we play, you know, what our favorite this is, drink is, this and this. Give us just like 3 or 4 things in the mind of JP Beats Laboratory. What is it that you do, have, game, etc.?
Well, actually, I really like what you guys are talking about with the tournament, the way that you're doing things, because for me, it's all about this idea of, it's just like Kenny said, you want to play certain models, you want to play certain units, but it's just like, it's just the game doesn't favor it right now. And then there's always that one guy who's like rich and he's got like the newest and greatest thing, and it's just like, it's just not fun, right? So my angle is, I want to come in, play the models I want to play, but I also recognize that everybody wants to win. And so it's kind of like trying to strike that balance between, I'm just having a fun list, a great time, but also, you got to have some bite, you got to have an edge.
That's really good. And a lot of these questions are about to be answered because we do have an exciting list of questions to ask JP. I want to start off hard with, what is your first 40K army, JP?
Oh, that was Tyranids way back when.
So, Jay, I don't know if everybody at home realizes this, but literally we have just found out JP is my brother. We're related. We basically are one. So JP is in Japan. My family is Japanese, and we spent a good amount of time before the show started talking about different culture and whatever. It's amazing. Now I felt like this other connection going on. I knew you were a good guy at heart. I knew it. I knew you were one of the loyalists, the NID players. Only good guys in the future. Keep going.
So that brings me to a second question. That's a good segue. JP, what is gaming like in Japan?
Yeah, it's very sportsmanship is a really big deal. And, I just remember the last game I played, there's some stuff, there's the rules getting stalled up, and they just kind of were like, yo, who cares about the rules? Like, let's just keep playing. Like, the sportsmanship is super, super big here. But they're also very traditional. They're traditionalists. They're, from where I'm standing in the specific hobby group where I'm in Nagoya, you guys can check out that city. It's, 1 HQ, 2 troops. You can bring in formations, you can bring in detachments if you like, but they prefer the traditional CAD, and just sportsmanship, a little bit of a traditional style over here.
I would like to just elaborate just a little bit more. Like, what is the terrain style on your boards and stuff? The only reason why I say is us as Americans on the States here, we play at a different format versus I just hear about in Europe, for example, they say that it's super heavy with terrain, super dense. Is there a difference in Japan? Do you see what are your tables like?
Actually, it's pretty good, but on that note, I gotta say, like, my colleague, we play together, and he brings all the terrain, and he's got to bring it for like an hour on the train, because over here in Japan, people like card games a lot. They're not big into miniature wargaming, so when we play, it's like it's props to my buddies because they're bringing the whole mother load for all the terrain.
So wow, on the trains and everything.
Oh yeah, and like this guy's travel
hardcore.
It's pretty big. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, that actually shows to the quality of gaming group that you're in, that they actually value the terrain just as much as the models to, transporting and having, sounds like you're pretty lucky.
Yeah. He's a cool guy too, my buddy.
Seems like Japan's a very honor-based society, and that even translates to the gaming scene.
Oh yeah. So it's all, and you can feel the traditionalism. You can feel like, the fact the sportsmanship comes out of the fact that everybody's got to have a good time. That's really key over here in East Asia.
All right, real quick, JP, true or false question. Have you ever seen somebody almost commit seppuku because they rolled snake eyes?
Oh, my God. Well, there was that one moment, Kenny, he helped me. He put on his Facebook with the Space Marine captain that held up like 20 cultists.
JP had an amazing little video where he was playing, and it was like the most epic like final stand of a Space Marine. But you guys got to check out this video. It's amazing. It's like he just pulled out his iPhone at the last second. He's like, I have to film this. It was so glorious.
Yeah. And then
JP,
the crazy thing is,
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, the crazy thing is. Yeah, sure. The crazy thing is this guy was like Iron Hands, and so we had forgot to roll the 6+ Feel No Pain before filming. But after filming, during the video, he died. But after filming, we're like, oh, what about that 6+ Feel No Pain? And he made it. So he actually kept it holding up that horde for like an extra turn.
Oh, nice.
Don't tell Juice. Don't tell Juice to roll a 6 because he will.
All day, every day.
It's a classic Juice strategy right there. JP, I'm going to hit you with this. Yeah. What motivates you to do the videos on your YouTube channel, the 40k Scribe?
You know what? When my little town, I love my little town back in Canada, near Ottawa. But when I started playing, it was just like power mongers, like to the core, just like tons and tons of power mongers. And I was like this 14-year-old kid with like a couple of nids. I didn't know any better, My buddy Alex, he taught me everything. But at the same time, it's just, if people had taught me the things that I know now, it's this idea of just, if I knew now what I knew back then, and then it's just, that's the spirit that I'm coming from, is that's what I want to share with people on the internet. It's just, it does, to me, it's not about winning every game, but just making it a fair match.
Oh, so wait a second, JP, you're saying that you're not doing videos because of the millions of dollars you make off of it? I mean,
no.
But there is I'm sure there's a long term, which will bring me to my next question for you. What is your long term motivation though for your channel?
Oh yeah, this is kind of funny. Like I travel around the world teaching English. I love this job. I try to get like every job that I could ever think of, except for like being an astronaut. I could get. I've tried them all. But you know what? I'm over here in Japan, and I'm still painting miniatures. I'm still making videos. I'm still playing games. If I could just do that for money, if I could just do that as a job, career, work in a hobby shop, make videos, a la mini wargaming, a la, Spikey Bits, that would be great. That's my dream.
This is the group of people, because we're talking about Robbie B, one of the original OGs of Spikey Bits, owned a great game store for many years. Mike Haspel literally works part-time at a game store.
Mm-hmm.
And I paint models for a living. And Juice also has an amazing model making company called Barely Tabletop Quality Miniature.
First step down the road to total gaming freedom is you need more cats. Step one.
More cats.
More cats.
possibly the most important question we have for you tonight, though, is what is your favorite 40k army?
You know what? Tyranids, the fluff behind Tyranids is just fucking awesome. But I don't play them because I'm such a perfectionist, and it takes me like 3 hours to paint like one gaunt. So, but that being said,
so you've never watched a barely tabletop quality painting video on however many steps it takes?
Time me. I'm about to base these 40 models.
Yo, true story. Yeah, gaunts, blink, they're done. I would just like to, before, not to take any thunder away, but you're right. I haven't read too much fluff here recently about the Nids, but wow, just what a great fluff they are. Like, it just shows how truly, I say it all the time, but how they literally are the only good guy in the universe, while everybody else is backstabbing, killing, blowing each other's planets up while they're on it. Emperors are falling. I mean, it's crazy. The only guys that are the sane, normal, level-headed people all the time, a race is the lonely Nid. Thank you, Jake.
Orcs just want to fight.
Well, I would say orcs and Nids are the good guys.
The ultimate good
guys. Orcs are pretty
too.
Badass. Yeah. It's funny. Back in the day, yeah, it was always orcs versus Nids, and orcs are just they're just awesome. I just love playing against them. I think I'm actually gonna start up an orc army.
Nope, you're not. You're never gonna paint them.
It's the same fight as the Nids. I feel like.
Yeah,
you need to just do 4 Wraith Knights and 3 Skies of Elder Jet bikes. You'll be fine.
And look, it's so much easier to transport on the trains.
Yeah. So what are you playing now? At your local Beats Laboratory on a random Saturday. What are you playing?
That's actually great. Before he answers, I'd like to hit him with Hobby Pipe Dream, because we actually have a good Hobby Pipe Dream segment, which actually is the answer to that question, I think. JP, what's your Hobby Pipe Dream? What are you trying to do now? What are you bringing to the tabletop?
Well, right now, I'm actually doing some Ultramarines, and I'm thinking of allying them up with some guards, so that way I can have like the feel of like, that Imperial, the high superhuman, Space Marine next to like the horde of, basically everyday folks just doing whatever they can for the Emperor.
I think you need to model like one guardsman fist bumping a Space Marine.
Fucking
and then the next scene is the guardsman's hand's been obliterated. And it's
he has now been reduced to the B squad.
He carries people's helmets around for him now. Well,
actually, I think I could do that. Yeah,
I think that's easy. So, what's in your what level list are you working on? Because I know that you're working on an Ultramarines list, and that's corresponding directly with this video series that we're doing together on the Hall of Veterans, Ultramarines. Like, what are you trying to do? What point level? What you got? Like, what are the units you're trying to do?
Well, I'm doing 1,500 points of Ultramarines, that's for sure, and then I'm leaving the 500 points after for pretty much anything. Like, I'm thinking, all right, with 500 points, I could do a horde of guardsmen. I could bring in some Blood Angels. With 500 points, I could bring in, just like some. I was thinking of doing a minefield of, the Tyranid Muclid spores, so that way it could just be kind of like this minefield in the middle of the battlefield. Just anything with the 500 points, really.
Thematically, like it's almost like the arch nemesis of the Ultramarines. Like, that would be an amazing display board that David has always preached for years, where that he would have Ultramarines with Tyranid allies, but the display board would be like the Battle for McCrag, and it'd be all like just bloody, like they're fighting each other, but it's actually your army on the battlefield. And since they're the Apocalypse allies, you don't have to play it like they're buddies. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the idea. It's just like, I mean, if you're fighting the battlefield and there's some Nids, then it's just like they look at whatever's closest and they go for it, right? So just if I keep the Space Marines away, it all fits in the fluff.
Yeah, you floating testicle nutsacks, stay away from me.
You must provide the Emperor with cover.
Oh God.
Yeah, that is all.
You Tyranid fools.
Straight up.
But that's I'm so glad to have finally get you on the show, JP. Finally introduce you to the world of the veterans of the Long War, because obviously the world already knows who you are. On YouTube, you already got some followers, and I'd love to urge fans of the show to go over to JP's page, the 40k Scribe, send him a quick subscribe. Check out the videos he's putting out there. Obviously, check out the Long War for free and see his videos a week. Some of his videos a week early. But I do want to turn it over to Rob because I do think we have some closing remarks to mention on our upcoming content schedule.
Well, first off, yeah, we're slowly transitioning the tutorials and everything to a 2 weeks ahead of time, basically 2-week exclusive kind of time frame. It's kind of quasi in between right now, because of the holidays and everything. But this week and next week will be basically the last complete weeks of content, I guess, until like the holiday, and then we'll drop one of those new fresh War for Tots battle reports on the 21st and the 28th, but you won't really get a full-on webcast. You get like a happy holidays kind of thing on the 23rd, but then we won't have our normal tutorials and things and webcasts and stuff, right around Christmas time there.
So basically we're going dark 23rd to the 30th, except with the exception of the final game of the Toys for Tots video series Inside the Mind of a Gamer, of a tournament player.
Yes.
And then we'll be coming hard again on, you heard that phrasing? Coming hard again on the 4th with a new battle report, and hit you guys up with tutorials and everything coming in from the 4th on.
Yeah, and we got a lot of ideas on, some different ways to go, with the series. So definitely let us know what you think of these 3 that we're about to drop.
Juice, I think there's also been talk of on the 4th of the new year, first battle report of the new year, a team game.
Yo, absolutely. It is in the mix to have a Robbie B and I versus 2 potential heavyweight players for us to break it down to get everybody's juices flowing.
I like it.
For Adepticon.
Word. Yeah, definitely. That's we got a lot coming up, so it's gonna be really exciting. Something else that was really exciting that me and Juice were talking about the other day too was after the Kickstarter ended, and obviously we got to do a shout out to my man Luke. He hit us up, sent us an email because the Kickstarter finished at like $14,901, right? So $14,901. So he's like, man, it would have been so cool if you got 15,000 even. And I was like, yeah, it whatever, it happens. That's cool. We crushed our goal. We're super happy. Thank you for your pledge. And he's like, yo, I'm just gonna send you like $99 so we can just say it was like 1,500 or 15,000. I was like, what?
and he was like, I don't need anything. I just want to say you guys did a good job. But if you did want to send me something, here's what I want.
Yeah, basically, he was like, yeah,
great shout out.
Yeah, so thank you, Luke. Thank you, for being, helping to bring hobby back, man. It's just really awesome to see that outpouring of support. And it's been a really fun time. Obviously a lot of work got done. Me and Kenny, as Kenny's the official graphics artist of the Long War. I am the I don't know, Matrix.
You're whatever they call those people who literally plug cords into their brains in the Matrix.
Sleepy, that's what we are. Anyways. Nah, it was a good time. So yeah, that's the skinny for what we got coming up here soon. So thanks everybody for listening. This is the first week back. We got another big exciting week. Check out the new battle report that we're going to be dropping on Monday the 14th over on the Long War and the Hall of Veterans. So obviously if you haven't done so, go on over there, check it out. Make sure you sign up for exclusive content, early access videos. We're transitioning to that whole 2-week exclusive kind of period thing. There are also some straight on exclusives like we talk about tonight with JP. We got JP, we got the guys from the Basement Collective. We got some other folks we're looking at working with too. Some really different genres.
We got some Swedish videos from one of my buddies.
Yep, and we got Bartosz from Southern Painting. So he's a really exciting guy too. The what is he? History teacher, kickboxer, history teacher by day, kickboxer by night. So awesome. So, but yeah, check it on out. Become a veteran of the Long War today.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly? No? Good. It would be unfortunate if I had to lead a garrison here.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos,